Look at the.
Oh, there's one other. Oh, do you want it?
Or you split it on your career.
But you don't how some get
Very good.
That's what I do. Jonathan, how was your spring break?
Good. Hello, 1, 2, 3. Cool. Okay, we have forum. Looks like we're good. Everybody's promoted on Zoom. Awesome. Okay. Okay, I call this meeting to order at 7:06 p.m. Amazing. Okay. So thank you all for being here. Really do appreciate it. Our first meeting of spring quarter. Hope everyone's back and motivated. So go ahead and see approval of the agenda. First thing we need is a motion to make all the items action items. Is that the correct order? Yeah. Okay.
I motion to make all the items on the agenda action items.
All right. Making motions on the last items. All in favor, please raise your hand. Please lower your hands. All against, please raise your hands. All abstaining, please raise your hands. With a 12-0 vote, that is approved. Do we have somebody to do the sworn in? Yeah.
Pam said that they were coming on Zoom, so it's not the,
Can I get the name?
Oh.
Is it Diana? No.
I thought it was Anna.
I don't think, they're on that.
Okay, okay, yeah, so once we get that sworn in, then Megan, Tiasan, and votes. Okay, cool. Thank you. Okay, so any amendments to the agenda?
Can we strike TJ?
Janice?
Oh, I'm here. Can we strike the SWC programming fund?
Yeah. Then we'll go see John.
Can we strike ISRA and the GLF?
And then Eva?
Can we please strike that?
And then I'll be adding one. Okay, so okay, so let's go ahead. For our new business, we need to vote on the restricted surplus. From last time, we did get to do that. This is 5 a.m. And then I'm also gonna add a presidential budget update. And then updated BOD guidelines. Okay, so for the, let's do the updated BOD guidelines first, since that's gonna be a vote, kind of motion.
A motion to make updated BOD guidance, make grade 24 on the action item. Second.
All right, make a motion to line seconds over, continue here. Okay, please raise your hands. All against, please raise your hands. All the same, please raise your hands. With 11-0 vote, that was approved. Okay, and then for the
I motion to make the vote on restricted surplus funds an action item.
I second. All right, make a motion, Jonathan, seconds, all in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, please raise your hands. All against, please raise your hands. All saying, please raise your hands. With 11-0 vote, that is approved as well. All right. All right, Lucy.
Can we please strike capital contingency?
Oh, we can't hear you. Can you try saying something again?
Yeah, can you guys hear me now?
Mm.
Oh, okay.
Give us 1 sec. Okay, Lucy, go ahead and say something now.
Okay. Can you guys hear me now?
Wait, did you say your amendment already?
Yeah. Or wait, can you guys hear me?
We can hear you now.
Oh, okay, okay, sorry. Can we please strike capital contingency?
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, awesome. All right, so let's go ahead and motion to approve our agenda for today.
I motion to approve the agenda.
Make a motion, Katie, second, all fair, please, zero. Please lower your hands. All against, please raise your hands. All the same. Open 11 to 0 vote, that is it. Thank you. Okay. All right, we don't have minutes for last meeting just yet, so we'll go ahead and enter public comment period. So just remember our community guidelines. With the public comment, remember it's gonna be 2 minutes per speaker and 30 minutes for the entire session. We'll go ahead and open public comment at 7:12 p.m. Is there anyone up here for public comment? If you're on Zoom, you can raise your hand. Going twice. Okay, with that, we'll close public comment at 7:12 p.m. Thank you. All right. Moving forward, we will go into our Monday. So contingency programming, Lucy?
Okay, cool. So we have 2 rounds of allocations, because of like finals week and spring break. So I will present both of those and I'll send them in the chat too. But last week we had a total contingency programming request of $47,676, and we recommend an allocation of $14,141.67 for 35 non-USAC entity and 1 USAC entity related events. And then this week we had a total contingency programming request of $33,540.87, and we recommend an allocation of $15,286 for 36 non-USAC entity and 1 USAC entity related events. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay, so we'll need 2 separate motions for this, because we have 2 basically, so I'm gonna pass it here.
I move to approve the allocation of $14,141 $14,141.67 for 35 non-USAC entities and 1 USAC entity. Related events.
All right, make a motion for the last second, all in favor, please raise your hand. Please lower your hands. All against, please raise your hands. All abstaining, please raise your hands. So 11 to 0 vote, that is approved. All right, next one.
I move to approve the allocation of $15,286 for 36 non-USAC entities and 1 USAC entity related events.
All right, make a motion for the last second, all in favor, please raise your hands. Please lower your hands. All against, please raise your hands. All abstaining, please raise your hands. Within 11 to 0 vote, that is approved. Oh, thank you. All right. Perfect, so we have those to approve. Moving to SFS allocations.
Hi everyone. So for SFS, we had a total requested amount of $8,015 and a total allocation of $5,000. So sorry, $5,066.69, with 5 applicants approved, 1 USAC entity and 4 non-USAC entities.
Thank you. Any opposition? That's approved. Awesome. Moving forward, we have grant advocacy grant allocations. Eva.
Oh, I screwed.
Oh, my bad. Go ahead. Is the other one?
Yeah, the other one, yeah, for grows, EVP got a total request of $4,118.78. We allocated, or we recommend allocation to, $1,541.44, specifically, to one USAC entity and to one non-USAC entity.
Amazing. Any opposition? That's approved. Thank you. Going down, we have. Is there a policy for ARC for Alicia? Okay, first question at all. Okay. Okay, so we'll go ahead and say no allocation for this week. Moving to BOD. Sir?
Do we, or Iris?
Oh, sorry. Iris, my bad. Sorry, I didn't see you.
Hi, hello. Thank you for having me here. So for USC BOD allocations, we approved a final allocation of $143,930.07. We received 95 applications. 71 of those applications received allocations. The remaining did not sign up for or missed their hearings, which we will plan to address perhaps with additional hearings and whatever else. What other suggestions you may have, and only 4 applications are what I can directly tell are from USAC offices.
Thank you. Would you mind typing that into the chat, the amount that was allocated, and then the number of USAC entities and the other non-USAC entities, so that we can do the motion?
Of course. Okay, gonna type it in right now.
If I have it, should I motion?
Oh, you got it? Oh, go ahead, sir. Never mind, you don't have to do it.
I don't have to do it?
No, you're good.
Okay.
I move to approve funding for BOD for $143,930.07 to 71 non-USAC entities and 4 USAC entities.
Do we have a second? Sarah motions, Luana seconds, all in favor, please raise your hands. Please lower your hands. All against, please raise your hands. All abstain, please raise your hands. All right, well, 0-0 vote, that's approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving forward, thank you, okay. Moving forward, we have special communications, we're gonna go ahead and start election board updates. And, oh, you're unmuted, okay, go ahead.
Okay, hi everyone. Hope you all had a great spring break. I'm just here with a few elections board update to keep you all in the loop of what's happening this week. And then also a few things that I'm going to ask council because there are some things that we were unable to recover for elections board. So we had to create like a new Instagram and Facebook. But the first thing I wanted to talk about is candidate orientation, which is on Thursday of this week. And this is like the last requirement for candidates. We verified all the signature counts and are working on the GPA and unit requirements right now. But we should have the official candidate list after orientation. And once we have the statement of attestation to like run in the election. So we'll have that list to you very, very soon for you to approve, I believe, next week. Because Friday is the official dropout date for candidates. But yeah, so if anyone has any questions on orientation, we're also passing along like any transition documents so that I think Jonathan emailed them to me, and I'll definitely include them in candidate orientation so that they'll be ready. But if anyone has any questions on that, please let me know. And then another thing is that we finally recovered the website, which is really, really exciting. So I don't need to like program a whole new website, but we were unable to recover the Instagram and Facebook. So Elections Board has to create a new Instagram and Facebook, and I'll put the new one in the chat. It's just UCLA Election Board. And that's a new handle. If you all could go and follow with your accounts and then make sure that the student body knows that the elections board does have a new Instagram and Facebook. That would be really, really helpful because we had a very, very large following on the old Instagram account that we're no longer able to access. So yeah, that should be all. But I'm here to answer any questions if you all have any questions about orientation, social media, website. But
Yeah. First, apologies for not being able to recover the Instagram. I think just off the bat of what I'm thinking about is doing a lot of collab posts, maybe just with our respective, commission, Instagrams to just do that. And also collabing with maybe ASCCLA, doing collab posts that way. I think just with ASCCLA, we just have to be mindful, there need like a ticket order in order to, like repost and, not repost, but to like do a collab post. But I think it's definitely possible, and just a way to get the word out there. So yeah, but glad we had the website at least. That was a big thing, so. Thank you for your work on that. Any other questions, thoughts from council members? Anything we can maybe help? Okay, cool.
okay,
Well,
cool. Thank
well,
you, everyone.
thank you for your updates, and yeah, I think we'll be working on getting that appointment for you sometime soon. So yeah, this week.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, that would be great.
Awesome. Next, we'll go to our quarterly updates.
Would you guys like us to join the do to the slide or? I'm gonna just.
Yeah, maybe.
Hi everyone, my name is Natalie and here with Calvary. Today we're doing our quarterly update as per our contract with the university. This will be all about our winter quarter. Yeah, can you next slide please? So first we can talk about our organization and just like the background information on how we run things. Next slide please.
Awesome. So you guys already know this information, but CalPERG stands for California Public Interest Research Group. And our mission is to train student leaders to act on problems that affect the lives of Californians, which really just means that we run campaigns that matter to us and that matter to a lot of Californians. So things like in the environmental sphere, but also like our hunger and homelessness campaign and our New Voters Project are incredibly important to us too. And we do this with the expertise of staff, including advocates and organizers who work both on campus and with the advocates for the public. Next slide, please. Awesome. So our statewide organization is broken down like this. We have 8 chapters at the UCs as well as other state universities in a number of other states. Our board of directors consists of 36, the same 36 elected student members. We vote on the budget, statewide lead campaigns, which is the campaign we pledge on, and we approve new campaigns to run at specific schools, but also statewide. We also have 6 students elected from the board of directors that make up the executive committee, and they drive statewide priorities. Next slide. So these are some highlights from just recently. This is last quarter. This past quarter, we've had 75 volunteers, 20 interns. Interns are people who volunteer more than 10-hour weeks. So those are like really dedicated volunteers, very valuable for us. Over $5,000 educated, or 5,000 students educated through class wraps and presentation. And we have 17,000 students on our email list. We're going to pass it out to you.
Can you go on to the next slide, please? My name is Hugh. Coordinating our clean energy campaign. So I'm going to talk about our funding we are funded through a voluntary opt-in fee of $10 per quarter here at UCLA. And we also have chapters across the state, so we're funded by over 30,000 students UC-wide. This past quarter at UCLA, we signed up 850 new dues paying members this quarter, which was super awesome. We got to talk to a lot of people who are invested in our campaigns. And this puts us at about, we have a contract with the university to have 10% of the undergraduate population be dues paying members in order for us to exist as an organization. And with this previous quarter, it puts us at about 12%. And aside from like the funding, this is also super great. In order to have the membership and to have the political power and able to run all of our campaigns and have a voice in politics, as well as having the staff and the advocates that we're able to. Yeah. Next slide, please. So very excited this past quarter, we got to go to Sacramento, the state capital, in order to lobby. We had about 100 students from across the whole state come to lobby with us. And so we met with offices from the state senate and the state assembly to talk about things like food waste and clean energy, as well as ending oil and gas subsidies. And of course, working on plastic pollution, which is our lead campaign this quarter and the last quarter. On that picture on the right, you can see we did a press conference with Senator Blake Spear, who is co-authoring the plastic bag ban bill that we've been working on. And so we're super excited to have been able to go to the Capitol and continue to work on all of things. So I'll go into the campaigns that we are running. Can you go 2 slides ahead? Awesome. So our 100% Clean Energy campaign, once again, thank you guys so much for working with us on this campaign. To remind us all at UCLA about 85% of our power comes from fossil fuels in the form of natural gas and the cogeneration plant. But this year they are doing a decarbonization study to find pathways forward to reach clean energy. And we've been running our campaign to have an ambitious goal of 100% clean energy by 2035. We really appreciate the support from USAC with the past resolution for quarter, as well as continuing to develop their campaign and the goal. Some exciting updates. We've seen a lot of promising updates from the administration. We've been able to meet with UCLA Sustainability as well as both vice chancellors on this issue, and we are a part of the decarbonization task force. So we've been to all of the meetings. They know about the campaign, and they know about the USAC support behind it. The update is that there is a viable pathway toward clean energy that can be implemented by 2036, and some that might be even as early as 2030. And so before in the fall, they didn't know if it was possible, but now we know it is. So we just really need to urge the administration to take action and be ambitious. And so we're super excited to wrap that up before they submit the study to the admin in July.
Yeah, this is our link campaign. So this is the one that we recruit our students on. We also, it's like the one that our staff members spend the most time working on. So right now we're trying to pass a bill in California to ban plastic grocery bags. The context behind this is that there was a bill in 2014 that did pass. And then the plastic industry was obviously not super satisfied with that, so they put it on the ballot in 2016. And the people in California also voted for it, which is super awesome. However, the industry was able to kind of explain the existing law. So that's why the plastic bags are thicker now, or the plastic bags are thicker now, because they're technically under the law reusable bags, even though they obviously are not being used that way in actuality. So we're running this campaign to get this to pass once and for all, and we've been gathering a lot of support. We've seen a ton of support from across the state. We've been able to work with a lot of legislative offices, as well as get a lot of media attention. The LA Times has written 3 articles about this specifically. And at UCLA, we've done a lot of cool things. I'd say main highlight, besides all the grassroots support we've gathered, is We have met with both LA City Council and the LA County Board of Supervisors who are excited about this opportunity and to like show LA support, because LA being in favor was a pretty big factor in the original back then passing. So they're both talking to us about passing resolution in support of the statewide law. Super exciting. Next slide. Another one of our campaigns is the conservation campaign around the Palomares butterfly. This is a very endangered species of butterfly that has very specific circumstances that it needs to live. And one of the areas that it can live in is conveniently where the new UCLA South Bay campus is. So this is a super cool opportunity. I know there's a lot of plans with the South Bay campus to be like very sustainable and have like a lot of ecology initiatives and stuff. And so one of the things that we are hoping for is for there to be specific things codified into the plan around having stuff set up so that the butterfly can thrive on the campus. In particular, our goal is to get 10,000 of the host plants that the butterfly can reproduce on to be planted on campus. So we've been mostly working with UCLA sustainability on this. It's been going super well. So I'm very excited about that. And then our last environmental campaign is our fast fashion campaign. I'm sure you guys know that fast fashion is a pretty big issue in terms of like human rights, social issue, and also the environmental impact. In particular, a pretty big issue is like excess waste, which is oftentimes incinerated by companies, I guess, cheaper than donating it. And then also the full life cycle of the products that break down really easily, because they're like not made super well, is not really incorporated into the actual cost of the product. So there's a lot of textile waste that is generated. This is like one of the biggest like waste streams and ever increasing, as I'm sure you're aware. So specifically for this campaign right now, we're working to pass another legislative bill. This is a producer responsibility bill, which would basically make companies pay for the entire cost of the product, including obviously like the materials and stuff, which is included right now, and then also the cost of like the whole life cycle of the product. Yeah, next slide.
Hi everyone, my name is Natalie. We just had the primaries in March, so hopefully you all went out to Ackerman and voted and made your voice heard. But I run the New Voters Project here at UCLA. So historically, youth just do not show up to vote in the same numbers as like older generation, which is really upsetting because we are actually the most diverse and largest generation. So it's really important that we actually just get our students to the poll. So our New Voters Project is designed to use peer-to-peer engagements to encourage our fellow students to actually just register to vote. We help them on how to register, where to vote, how to vote, and all of like the different intricacies that come with voting that make it kind of an obstacle for like a lot of our students. So that's where the New Voters Project comes in. So with the primaries in March, it was like kind of our go time. So we might have seen us on Bruin Walk, but we had like a Rock the Vote event where we painted frogs, like all voting themed. It was really, really cute. We also did like a Valentine's Day date with democracy where we cut out hearts and like had cute puns like Cupid's arrow points to the polls, with like a barcode to register to vote. And also just on election day, we have a table set up and we helped so many people just by being there and being present. So many people had questions and it was like really gratifying to just be there and be able to help people because our students do want to vote, they just don't know how, and that's where we come in. But yeah, for this year in the fall, we want at least 80% of our youth voters to actually vote. It's a really big year coming up. And so this quarter is just gonna be us laying down like the groundwork for us to be as effective as possible in the fall. Yeah, next slide. Okay, and then another one of our campaigns that's not environmental is our Hunger and Homelessness campaign. It is a service-based campaign, but food and housing insecurity is a really difficult topic to address, and it really affects so many of our students on campus. It's a problem because without just doing the work to address the issue or support, others who are fighting against it, these people would just not have the resources that they need to eat, to have housing, to just be able to go to school and not have to worry about these issues. So this is a service-based campaign, basically working on doing a lot of service hours and raising up money and donating the money to food banks. We're like in the upcoming week, we're doing a lot of volunteering at different, or we're volunteering at the same place, but like we're doing Nourish LA volunteering like this weekend. We hope to continue that for the foreseeable future and do our part there. Next slide. Okay, thank you. That was, thank you so much for having us today. Any questions for us?
Well, I just personally wanted to say thank you so much for everything you guys are doing. I always see you on campus and it makes me so happy. And I really, really appreciate your work. Specifically with the fast fashion campaign, and with the plastic bags, I'm really passionate about that and I would be more than happy to help you with anything you need. So feel free to reach out. I can also give you my phone number, email, whatever's easiest. I would be more than happy to help out with these campaigns. But yeah, thank you again for everything.
Yeah, thank you. Your support means a lot, but we do all of our campaigns just for our students and those who help fund us. So if you pledge Calpro, thank you so much. But also, yeah, like, any other questions?
Also just a comment, but thank you all so much for coming in today and telling us everything about all the incredible work that you're doing. And thank you, Sarah, and Steve, for coming in throughout the quarter and giving updates. I might have, yeah, but you all are literally doing incredible work.
So, yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
We'll see you next week. Going into officer reports, basically, kind of be a joint, finals week of spring break for me. We had our executive stand-up committee, I was in the ACE phone show. I would say the ACE staff training. I had a meeting with Wednesday, I had two. More about the programs that they're doing at other universities that might bring to UCLA. We had a basic needs committee meeting, outreach retention and recruitment task force meeting, downtown programming meeting, true and values refresh steering committee meeting, especially if it's 10 students committee meeting, and you don't get to have a lot of committee meetings. Another thing that, be a member from my office, the grandparents is always really walk, which we followed up with them. Definitely because that population itself has a lot of needs and there's been a lot of hurt to that community over the past quarter, and I definitely think we can help out in some way. So I'll be reaching out to a few people. And then, yeah, there's some other things on there. If you saw the April Fool's joke on my, that's about it. Okay, go ahead and pass it to you.
My report is mostly written, but additional thing for this quarter are all staff meetings are now Mondays at 6 p.m. So if you're interested in coming, please do. Oh, we are preparing for the housing relief fund, so that's one section.
Hi everyone, happy Tuesday. I've been kind of doing my regular like stuff with meetings like GCR, the chief quality officer, UCSA, all of that. The big thing coming up for EVP is our UC Hill Day, where we're going to DC. We're taking like 15 people to Washington DC next month. So I'm really, oh my God, it's April. This month, in like 2 weeks, we're currently planning to have about 13 lobby meetings with federal legislators, separately meeting with both California senators and the Department of Education. I like put a brief well, whatever, our like legislative agenda is gonna like focus on support for food insecure, undocumented or disabled students. So really good agenda. Also just as a quick recap of our student lobby conference, we had 14 different legislative meetings and the governor's office as well. Got a lot of yeses from legislators on various education policy bills from the 22-24 legislative cycle. So very excited for that. Now that the new legislative year has begun a few months ago, UDP is preparing some new bills to look at, aren't 2-year bills, but newly introduced bills for the 24 to help continue to support through policy committees in the state. So I'm really, really excited. We also have been writing letters to the state about our state budget situation. Similarly, we wrote letters for federal appropriations money, so a lot of letter writing going on. Also doing some more in districts lobby meetings before Hill Day, introducing a bunch of student needs for UCLA. So we're sharing a lot of demographic information and kind of highlighting need for various programmatic support with UCLA. Brunsville ambassadorship is continuing in the spring quarter. So if you're looking to get involved in civic engagement, please look for that application. And regarding the school to transit corridor, I'm supposed to, or the ASCLA Services Committee is considering a letter of support to send to Metro in support of heavy rail, which is really, really exciting. But ASCLA's board, people on the services committee are ghosting me. So ASCLA pro staff, please help. That would be great. Because their meeting is next week and they're not following. So that would be appreciated. And we also are hoping to set up a meeting with the LA Business Council about the same thing. Last but not least, something that's I think I've been forgetting to include in my written reports previous weeks. We're doing EVP's trying to hold a labor conference with various labor focused organizations across UCLA. Kind of as a place to learn, know your rights, but also just to share ideas, collaborate, all that. And to present ideas or something on various project proposals, improving labor situations across campus. So that's really exciting. And I think they're aiming to have that in May. Sorry, that's a lot, but yeah, that's it.
Thank you. Katie?
Hi, everyone. Hope that you all had a restful spring break. Over my spring break, I assisted Iris in BOD funding body hearings. And we had definitely a lot of people, a lot of meetings, but we're glad we got it allocated and hopefully we'll be able to allocate more once we get the word out to other clubs that have an opportunity to apply. I confirmed with the Money Think, which is the club that helped me my first financial literacy night, which will be on taxes. We're gonna be doing a night on investments, and taxes was super great. Money Think is amazing. So I don't know, I learned a lot, and I think I should definitely come out there for investments because making money on the side, it's amazing. And the rest is gonna be on just my written report.
Thank you. Okay. Yeah.
Mine's written.
Oh, ready. Okay. Jonathan.
Hello, well, that's it. Yeah, okay, when I know that. Just good. Sounds a little weird. Anyway, hope you all had a restful spring break. I'm working on my written report right now, but I think most importantly, my office is working on the last profs. We're releasing our, we are communicating with clubs directly right now, so we're very excited to get those applications going. Additionally, our other initiatives are launching. We're kind of shifting our priorities towards growing buddies, mainly just trying to get that connected with the ISR so that we can have that, sustainable long term. Is there anything else? Office hours, we're gonna have those very soon. I'm excited to at least be able to converse with students on a one-to-one basis. Just so that, they understand what student government is and have access to a student representative directly. And yeah, the rest will be on my written reports like always.
Thank you. John?
Hello, hope everybody had a restful spring break. There are some updates that I have First, I actually also kind of officially launched my office hours by adding a link to my link tree. I actually noticed one day that someone who was like not in my office made an appointment, and I still don't know how they got the link, but I was like, okay, actually, I should make that public. So I got that up. Something really exciting is that on April 10th, AAC is hosting an official event in partnership with the UCLA Anderson School of Management. I almost wanted to say business, but it's not business, it's management. But it's actually really cool. It's a 2-hour event, and the first half is a Q&A with the panel, and the second half is like a more like one-on-one tabling event with the actual admissions teams for each school in Anderson. And it's like specifically targeted to UCLA students, kind of hoping to get the phrase is double Bruins that Anderson uses. And so I'm planning this with my kind of career readiness committee, and I'm so excited that it's happening. I appreciate if everybody helps advertise it, because I think capacity is like 100 students or something. And besides that, we also have an event happening April 24th. Our summer resource fair, which will 90% be happening in conjunction with We're Not Really Strangers on the same day, if not, then one after another. But that is happening on the 24th. And I also would appreciate everyone's help advertising that. Today, the application for our grad prep rental program went up, where students can apply to rent exam prep books for grad school. So GRE, MCAT, LSAT, GMAT, lots of different books. If you anyone you know is interested, they're like new, recent, and just first come, first serve. So would appreciate your help publicizing that as well. And there's like a few other things. Maybe the other most significant things is that Books for Bruins is also launching for the spring, and we are circulating a survey to UCLA faculty to get their input on the use of open educational resources at UCLA, kind of advancing that aspect of our textbook affordability initiative.
Thank you.
All right, hello everyone, hope you all had a good spring break. We don't really have too many announcements this week. A lot of our events for this quarter are being like confirmed in this next week or two, so I'll have more stuff next week. But right now, our first big event coming up is going to be week 3. It's the Funk Up concert, and the artist is TBA. We should be releasing that post, I think, at the end of this week. And we also have a post going up tonight for our media production staff is hiring, and that's the only staff hiring this quarter. And that will be going until next Monday, applications close. But the rest of it is all on my document.
Thank you so much. All right, Shane.
Hi, okay, so we are currently working on a winter quarter transparency report. We're planning a CSE staff volunteer day with Water Drop LA. We are also finalizing venues for two big events that we're organizing, Water Bruin and Service Impact Summit. And we're also finalizing our service resource handbook for our projects and other student groups. And we are also launching projects, sandbox initiatives for our community service projects, where they can work together with other projects on some sort of community event and get additional funding. Our outreach team is compiling information for student service groups and specifically targeting newer established service groups. So we're planning to create like a handbook with, all the information about funding, transportation, and, finding a community partner, volunteer retention, and all that jazz. So if you happen to know any service group that is like pretty newly established, like in the past 5 years, reach out to me. And finally, we are working with Diverse SWC for an Equity in Mind conference that's taking place on April 20th. It's going to be a mental health focused conference and really advocating for holistic approaches to mental health through an intersectional lens. So yeah, I'll be publicizing that in the next couple of weeks as well.
Awesome, thank you. All right, and we'll go to.
So
weekend break, I met with some folks from the UCLA Disability Alumni Network to discuss potential collaboration with them so that we can try and build a network of alumni with disabilities. I also met with some folks from the ITS group, because we do have, yeah, that would be, we do have a very, very, very exciting event coming up on April 18th, which is Thursday of week 3, from 5:30 to 8 p.m. in Public Affairs Building 2355 or over Zoom. It's a mobilizing for mobility event. So basically it's going to be an opportunity to engage with a lot of different student groups. Move LA is going to be there. There's going to be folks representing LA Metro, BART, ODOT, and also UAW. So a lot of really, important groups in terms of mobilizing. And so it's going to be a lot of like panels and discussions on how we can kind of work together a little bit more so that we're not all putting too much individual effort and instead of creating like a cohesive product, which I think is going to be incredible. I've got RSVP links on my officer reports. Additionally, I don't know how familiar you all might be with an article that came out last year in the LA Times. It's titled, "I Hate How It Looks, Under Pressure to Move Out, UCLA Students Create Mountains of Debris." So after that kind of came out, we were able to get a good understanding of like how much waste is created whenever students are moving out. So Bruin Bazaar and GCR and fraternity sorority life, there's a lot of groups involved with this effort, but we are planning a sustainable move out. So we've been meeting once a week to kind of figure out the logistics for that. We'll have dates and like pickup/drop-off spots announced soon. So stay tuned for that, and everything else is on my written report.
Awesome. Okay. Moving forward, we have Sarah. Oh,
She said it's all written.
oh, period. Okay. And then we have Jess.
Not too many updates. The main thing is we had a really successful town hall at the end of last quarter, and this quarter we were able to act on some of the feedback we got from students that attended. So my assistant, actually my chief of staff and we met with CAE today regarding students' experience not being able to access testing accommodations during finals and the wait times to get their intake appointments at CAE. So we're in conversation with them, and we are going to meet again to come up with future solutions. And then like China meeting emphasized, I sent it in our chat, but the Equity in Mind Conference is a collaboration with SWC Committee, Diverse SWC, and CSC, and I'm gonna be there, so I hope I see you there. They have a really cute sweatshirt that you get for attending, and there's food, and it's gonna be great. Let's learn about the intersection of mental health and identity. And there's also gonna be a week of SWC health-related events during week 3 for Bruin Health Week, but on the Sunday of that week is Bruin Run Walk, which is the 24th annual 5K race benefiting the Painted Turtle. This is April 21st. I'll send the registration link out in our chat, but I'm gonna be walking it. If you're a runner, go run it. See you there. That's all for me, Mr. Johnson. Thank you.
Okay. And then, we have Megan, do you want to give verbal updates?
Yes. So first, I just want to say thank you all for appointing me. I'm super excited to step into this role, and it's been so much fun over the last few weeks since my appointment. Since then, I've been able to have one-on-one meetings with my staff to introduce or reintroduce myself to them and initiate their hiring process, because they had not been officially hired despite working throughout this entire academic year, which is obviously an issue. It is getting worked out, which is wonderful. Their staff highlights are going to go up on Instagram this week. In terms of programming and events that I've been working on so far, I'm coordinating a fundraising event because we need more funds. So we're coordinating a few fundraising events with local businesses in Westwood. And my director of internships is preparing to release the USAC internship applications. I will reach out to all of you with more information and clarity on what that means in a little bit. Transfer Lobby Day is coming up at the end of this month. So my director of Transfer Lobby Day has been working on the logistics of that event. So it's going to be super exciting in Sacramento. We've been doing a lot of work in terms of the logistics of certain events. I've talked to Sarah Moe for the Transfer Student Center a few times, and we are working in collaborations. I was also invited by the Bruin Day collaborators or coordinators to do a Transfer Bruin Day speech with Chancellor Block and Dr. A from AAP. So Sarah Moe will help me with those remarks. So I'm really excited for that in May. A little bit more about what the office is working on. I've created a flyer for appointments, so I'm going to post that sometime so I can begin filling those remaining TSR appointments. I also have released a Calendly for students to make appointments with me if there's anything they would like to discuss. We also have 4 organizations that have signed up for Instagram takeovers where they'll just share information on what their org does. Thank you.
Amazing so far. Definitely reach out if you can do anything to support you in those efforts. And yeah, it'll be amazing. Okay, moving to Adam.
Hey, everything's ready for me.
Okay. Cool. All right, now moving to administrative representatives. Let's start with Orlando.
Yeah, like you could grab that one.
Hello, everyone. Just before I forget, I am actively trying to locate another judicial board to come in and swear in the TSR. So I'll be all posted on that. Just a quick reminder that this week is the final week to register student organizations. This Friday will be the last time groups will be able to re-register or register as a new group until the fall quarter next year. I can let you know that this will be the last time registration will occur this way. In the future, registration is going to look a lot different. We're in the process of revamping how we register groups, who could be signatories, who could be on the board, who could make decisions for student groups. A lot of changes are coming to this space, but we'll be announcing that when we finalize it, just to let you know that that is coming. But yeah, if you know anyone that wants to register this week, please send them my way or just send them to the SOL website. All right, that's all I have.
All right, moving to just.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Hopefully everyone had a restful spring break. Main updates I want to give for tonight, just some updates on student government accounting, requisition deadlines, as we are in spring quarter. Any activities from fall and winter should now have been submitted. If they haven't yet, if you oversee a funding body or oversee somebody who oversees a funding body, please communicate out to organizations to submit your requisition forms. Anything from fall and winter is going to be due by Friday before, after which, you know, if we're not going to be processing anything from prior quarters. So make sure to get that in. And then any remaining activities for spring should be turned in at the end of the quarter. But if it's like finals week or commencement programming, the deadline for that is going to be June 15th. So we will be making infographics and sharing it out with everybody and posting it on the USAC website, but please share with student organizations that you know that have USAC funds to get those requisition forms turned in for timely processing, especially as we get toward the end of the quarter, and to be kind to Lucy and not bombard her during final week with a bunch of stuff to sign. Please get those turned in early.
Thank you. Lori?
So weird. I feel like I'm so far away, but I'm at my house and that I've been gone for like a month, but it's only been 2 weeks. Anyway, the only update I have is I have secured Bruin Plaza for y'all to recruit for BOD appointments on May 7th. Megan, you will be getting the EOL from Chris Copololo for that. And Megan, you will also be getting an EOL for May 30th for the next commission to start recruiting for appointments. And I can work with you guys on what you need in the plaza. And then the only other thought I had on recruiting BOD is maybe your current BOD people can come out. Like Elia could talk it up with you guys. I don't know. Anyway, those are my thoughts. I'll see you next week.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. Definitely want to help the best we can for the BOD appointments. It's just a quick turnaround, especially if we're going to be transitioning week 6, week 7. So yeah, okay, definitely we'll have support in that, and we'll go from there. All right. So moving into new business. Oh, sorry. Oh, no.
Yeah, I think I was
Wow. I have my camera on and everything.
Boo.
It's fine. Hey, hi, hello, everyone. Hope your break was well. Hope you got a little sleep, had a little fun, and you're ready to go. Spring quarters it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be good. We're gonna kill it. Everything's almost over. So only a couple of things from me. Like Lori said, there's that May 7th date for tabling. We really want, particularly like the appointment search committee, and all of you generally to help do recruiting for BOD, but also just generally for all of your appointments. You all know what it was like to come in, at that very end of the quarter and then have to scramble not only to start your own office and start your own staff, but then try and find appointments too. So we really want to help smooth that transition out this year, and set the new people up for success. So, excuse me, your assistance there is greatly appreciated. And then, as some of you know, I will be out of office starting tomorrow after this meeting, and I will be back at the end of week 2, so the 12th. So if you need me in the meantime, no, you don't. And you have Fernando instead. Fernando is more than equipped to help. So if I will not be responding to anything for the next week plus. So I will get back to you as soon as I can when I get back. But otherwise, I hope you have a wonderful start to your quarter, and I'll see you soon.
Thank you. Okay, moving forward, we have new business. First up, we had a resolution for UCLA's earmark request. So, I have one right.
All right, hi everyone. So this is kind of following a similar pattern of the previous resolution that I introduced a few weeks ago. Essentially, federal government does an annual appropriations process to help like budget the federal government basically. Part of that every year is that members of Congress participate in this community programming and funding, or otherwise known as congressionally directed spending. And this is this allows for this allows for members of Congress to support initiatives in their home districts that they support, that they, I don't know, think are cool. And so UCLA's Government and Community Relations has submitted a few of these earmark requests. One of them was for the Bruin Cubbies, which was the resolution that that we passed a few weeks ago in winter quarter. And so the second resolution is coming about because I think so President Biden, the appropriations process is supposed to like finish in October, but our government is like really bad. And so they continued it and finally passed the appropriations for fiscal year 2024, like literally like 2 weeks ago. And that coincides with when the president then presents a draft request for the next fiscal year for 2025 now. And this draft does not include various things that UCLA had like otherwise requested in 24. So that's kind of why there's this like second resolution. And this wasn't included in the first one, if that makes sense, but also if it doesn't, like, let me know. So this is a resolution that basically supports the letters that EVP has submitted and other UCLA community organizations that they've submitted with the UCLA GCR application for congressionally directed spending in order to support the establishment of Brew and Life Skills, which is like a curriculum with a cohort of 30 students that that facilitates various like financial wellness skills and like career readiness skills that otherwise aren't offered in such a streamlined way in the Career Center. And it also asks for funding to fully electrify UCLA's bus fleet, such that UCLA can decrease its carbon footprint and also like meet its goals of just reducing greenhouse gas, all that crap. So that's what this asks for. So it's just supporting GCR's like letters that they've sent to the government asking for this money that goes to UCLA. And I think it's really cool. So does anyone have any questions about the resolution? Okay, so I move to vote, or I move to approve a resolution for UCLA's fiscal year 25 earmark requests.
All right, even motion is made in second, all in favor, please raise your hands. Down here. Oh, I'm so sorry. Is there your hands? All against, please raise your hands. All abstained, please raise your hands. Open 11 to 0 vote, that's approved. Awesome, thank you. Just double checking. Okay, so let's go ahead into the next one. We have updated DOD guidelines for 23-24. So basically we can take a look at that document. Just basically 2 edits to explain the one-time additional cycle that we'll have with the surplus allocation that we have to BOD. So yeah, this will be basically about it. Just explaining it's in red with the edits were, but in the general guidelines, we have the update for the one-time spring surplus cycle. What we decided on was appropriate amount was for maximum allocation per application is 12.5K. So students will be able to apply and successfully run the larger programs that we know, especially kind of this spring quarter, including culture shows, graduation ceremonies, things of that nature. So definitely be able to apply for that. And then we get into the board date. So when would the fund open? When would the fund close? When would the hearings be? After talking with Sarah, who then talked to the rest of the DOD members, we decided on appropriate deadline would be Monday at 5 p.m. of week 3. So basically my team would be getting advertisement out. Hopefully we try and do a couple of funding workshops so we can also help student organizations apply. I really love support from everybody on this and getting the word out to organizations, student groups, but also helping in the application process of helping student groups that need additional support apply for these funds, because that's what this is for. And that's what we set out to do with our original proposal in the first place. With the hearings, we said after it closes that week 3 Monday, they would open from Wednesday to Friday of that week 3, and then they would have the will then actually on Tuesday meeting, but then they would actually have received an email by Wednesday, April 24th, for the meeting for. So that's what we agreed on. Other things that were updated is that originally BOD for some time supposed to have been due through my UCLA, and it's been running right now as before, but I think that's caused some havoc in Seoul and other waste, think I'm between that right. So this actual spring surplus, cycle that we'll be doing in addition will be through the, my UCLA report now. So that'll be a good addition. It'll be the same thing. We're not changing anything. We're just making it a my UCLA form. And then everything else still applies, for basically 5, 6, and 7 on the steps we're applying to the. So yeah, that's only the addition I have there. And yeah, everything else is the same. Does anybody have any comments, any suggestions on those guidelines before we go?
First of all, I think this is great. Can we include this information in Soul newsletters or make sure that it's included in Soul newsletters just so that was, or like, I think that's one way to kind of advertise that this is reopening.
Yes, no, I'm taking notes down already. Tomorrow's our sole staff meeting and I will be mentioned to all the sole advisors, including all of our marketing team as well. So,
I'm also trying to get, and I was sending out everybody that alongside our new elections for Instagram and some other things. Seeing that's just a side note, if you have a big thing that you want to mention, it's an email, send me a Slack, text message, and I'll try and get it included, but there is a word count limit, so we're giving maybe like a half from the office. Yeah, okay, cool. Any other questions regarding the guidelines? Okay.
Maybe just in the spirit of making sure that we do like our due diligence as a council to make sure that these applications or the funding is used and that you know, organizations are getting an opportunity to apply. We can all like for set funding workshops that would be held between now and the deadline. We can all like sign up for a couple to like help host or help with that process.
I think that's a fantastic idea. So yeah, let's go ahead. I think, I'll send out a one to me. So we'll probably just schedule something, this week. What we want to do, what we want to include, what we can use. IBP slides from their previous funding workshop as well. So we don't have to reinvent the wheel. So we can use that, as a guide, update anything that we need to, what, make sure that the groups can get the most money out of these allocations. So, yeah, all right. Yeah. Go for it.
So for contingency, are we all, is it just like giving contingency how money to allocate, or are we gonna also publicize that contingency is getting like an additional like 160K?
Yeah, I was just trying to get it, but yeah, it'll basically be the same thing. But publicizing that, we're not changing there was no maximum on that one, so I didn't update the guidance at all. But yeah, we're just publicizing that as well. So yeah, thank you for the reminder of that.
Clarification on the BOD, so can all our registered groups apply even though some applied in the spring round?
Yes,
Okay.
because it's basically just a new cycle. And
So it's
like
like
I said, in the guidelines, they can basically apply per cycle, so.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, if not, we'll go ahead and get a motion.
I motion to vote on the updated BOD guidelines for 2023 to 2024.
All right, make a motion in the last seconds. All in favor, please raise your hand. Awesome, please lower your hands. All right, all against, please raise your hands. All abstaining, please raise your hands. For the 12 to 0 vote, that is approved. Thank you. Okay, now we need to vote on restricted surplus funds. So that's something that we didn't get to do at our last meeting, so we'll go ahead and do that now. Would anybody look at those numbers? Give us 1 second on that one. We're trying to download this, sir. Do you have the numbers by any chance? No, okay. Yeah. Okay, I'll check. So there's. Can we do the sub programming fund dollar? Oh. No, we need to, ooh. Is it these ones?
There's no conversation about.
Yeah.
Okay, as previously mentioned in our last meeting, I motioned to approve the 2022 to 2023 restricted surplus agreement in 2023-2024 for the total amount of $1,474,192.92.
Second. Make a motion for second, all fair, please raise your hand. Please lower your hands. All against, please raise your hands. All abstain? That was a 12-0 vote, that is approved. Just to reiterate, that included, CSDs, restricted funds, GIF, restricted funds, some other funds, after the SF, full reallocation, university support, donations, contributions, sponsorship income, and other things that were listed on our surplus analysis when we first went over the, restricted surplus. Just go.
So I just confirmed with Fernando, I don't think you all did vote to approve the percentage breakdown that goes, the 150,000 that goes to contingency program and capital contingency and BOE. So if you can also do a motion for that, and that breakdown is per your bylaws.
Yep.
That is the total or?
I would recommend, you can do it total, but I would just clarify that it's to the 3 different funds. Yeah, I motion to,
Motion to approve the EOD contingency capital.
okay, I motion to approve $150,000 to the BOD programming fund, capital contingency, and contingency programming fund.
Second. Make a motion, 1 seconds, all fair, please raise your hand. Please lower your hands. All against, please raise your hands. All abstaining, please raise your hands. All right, that is 12-0 vote. Thank you. Okay, now we'll be going into presidential budget update. Hello again, everybody. So over spring break, I got an opportunity to re-watch certain segments of our last USAC meeting, the 10-hour long one that most of us remember. And in that meeting, I got to review some of the parts that ended in the morning. I know I wasn't fully there as a commissioner. I definitely just wanted to make sure everything was on mind and doing things. And then since then, due to my role in both USAC and ASU, I've had some conversations in both SOL and student affairs. And I just wanted to give a couple things before I say what I'm going to say. So it looks like unfortunately Tyra no longer is signatory on ASU, due to some reasons. And so Tyra no longer being a signatory represented a larger issue, given that she was mainly the contact person for the proposal, the academic preparation proposal, after Eva being the undergrad commissioner. In addition to that, I really looked at mainly the slides that we have presented, and I just saw overall a lack of transparency relative to the other council members' proposals. As we communicated through the email that I sent on March 7th, I basically said, quote, in our week 10 meeting, council members will present their proposals more in depth. Later in that same email thread, the presentation was further detailed to be, quote, 4 minutes and truly get into details, show the budget and timeline / plan for sending funds and facilitating the program. Even after that, I know that Eva confirmed that sounded great, but then when we got to the actual meeting, we still didn't have specific line items for that proposal. And didn't know, and that made it really difficult to determine how to cut from, because we didn't know what. And so not having that was the real, I want to say it really limited our meeting quite a bit, because we didn't have the fine details of what the funding was gonna be going towards. As many of us committed to when running our school, we want to be more transparent, especially when it came to finances. As you know, in USAC, a lot of the time we get critiqued on student fees and how we spend our money. Most people don't even want us to have stipends. I don't know if y'all remember, especially in our first week as commissioners, when we approved the minimum wage to LA, the amount of heat that I particularly received, other commissioners also received for why are we giving raises to ourselves and it's the minimum wage. And other things that just throughout the year, we get a lot of questions on, which is why in the beginning of my term, one of my very first posts was a financial transparency pie chart where I spent literally a couple of days just crunching numbers, and I'm a STEM girl, but like not that STEM girl. Definitely, this is like one of our main things, and a lot of people that I know are running for positions, even for next year that may have our seats, are running on the same thing, the financial transparency. So I think it's very, very, very important for our commissions. Prior to the USAC meeting as well, I don't know if folks saw, there was a Daily Gruen article, and in that Daily Gruen article, it talked about basically us voting to include that academic preparation proposal. And in that article, there was a quote, a council member who is granted anonymity for fear of retaliation. First, when I read that, I was sad. One, because I honestly thought of 5 different people in this room that I could probably think of that were scared. And we shouldn't have to be scared to be in our roles. I definitely understand that we are the people that come to, especially when they're mad, they're sad, they're anxious, but we're also people. We also juggle a lot of our own things and own lives, and I think this council's been through a lot. And while I definitely have tried to support where I can, I know I probably haven't done enough, and I know there's so much that everyone has dealt with, and the people that aren't even in the room have dealt with. And so when I just heard that, it just made me sad that someone was scared to even go on a daily board art. Like, our standards. And so later in that article, that anonymous commissioner said that they said they were concerned that Tyra leveraged her personal relationship with council members to allow them to present it at USAC. And honestly, I just thought it was unfortunate that that person couldn't voice their own opinion and thoughts without fear, basically being afraid of being Black. And so when I think about how we just done this agenda so far, I really was intentional in doing that via the approval first, because even after what I said, I'm gonna say, signatories of ASU cannot submit proposals to the next cycle. I also want to know that the organization, along with myself and some other consumers, submitted BOT proposals for the spring cycle that just concluded. That was approved today, so definitely some more funds there. I think the last thing I'll kind of reiterate is going back to the beginning of when we presented how we were doing surplus this year. that week 7 meeting, we agreed that certain proposals were going to be council member initiatives. Even when you had to fill out the proposal sheet on that form, you had to pick what commission you were. As I explained then, and what I'm saying now, is that the surface amount will always be. It won't always be this large number, and we can't really predict what it will be. It just really depends on how things are run, how the funds, if they get fully exhausted, what really happens. We can't predict that. Last year was definitely a lower number than what we have this year, and so it's very variable in that. And I just don't think it's a good precedent for clubs and organizations to rely on surplus and these personal relationships with council members who program annual events, because it might not always be there. And when I say that, it's because what I know what will be there is our funding bodies. And that's represented through the fact that even when what we just voted on. With surplus, there's already a percentage that goes back to our funding bodies. That's clear cut in our bylaws. There's always gonna be funds that are gonna be allocated in the beginning to our funding bodies. That's something that I know for a fact, 20%, I can say without a doubt, will be there for our student organizations. And now, I'm not saying that member is bad to have personal relationships and connections with clients. I've been in ASU. I worked with our Union Student Association for quite a bunch of events last quarter. It's as for the listening on, and I know many of y'all are also involved in other organizations. But for funding purposes, as the commissioner that's here that have a position, might not have the same connections with the same organization, and does that organization's annual program or event that they're trying to put on could fall through if they don't know how to apply to our funding bodies. And like you said, the surplus, that fund might not be there for them to just use. And so I really would hate to see a great program fall through the cracks because of an organization blind on something that's compliant. With all those components in mind, I'm officially to the African Appropriation Surplus allocation. And that's what I have there. Any comments? Eva?
Yeah, thank you, Naomi, for sharing your concerns. I definitely I understand, I agree with a lot of them. I think my question now is like, for the other students who have been like emailing me for the past couple weeks, like asking because they're maybe like the chair of Afro grad or something, or they're like the chair of another banquet that like an individual that's not Tyra, I guess, is asking me for this money, like they have the account numbers for it. Like, I guess my point is like, one, I guess what about all the other students? And then B, two is like, is the money then return, like, does the money go into next year's surplus then, or does it go like to various proposals from like other council members? Or like, what happens there?
Yeah. For the people that are I would say that simply that fund was vetoed. And if they have questions, they can point it to me. So I would say that would be the step for you, just because I don't want any more communication to just be coming to you. I think that's been very overwhelming. And so I would just push it to me. And then as for where does that person go, I just add one other thing and then we can discuss as a council. Okay, and then go to Jonathan.
Yeah, I just kind of wanted to ask why now? I know that you mentioned about it was 5 a.m, and I think all of us were not the correct headspace, and I second that absolutely, but why? We could have had an emergency meeting during these past couple weeks, we could have, maneuvered this. And I do also want to address your comments about the council member. I think it, at least to me, how I interpreted that, it's not afraid of, just blackmail from council members or so forth. I think it's I think it's just their own shitty views and afraid of the student body's response to that. And I think all of us in this body in particular have really shitty views, but we're entitled to have that as human beings. But that being said, we're not free from consequences that the student body may, project or present themselves because of our perspectives and our identities. So if someone feels afraid of their shitty perspective, that's kind of on that. I don't think it's necessarily a consequence of, oh, like, I have genuine fear for your life, because I don't think very few of us have actually experienced genuine fear for our lives, for our livelihoods, for our safety. So I'm so sorry, but I don't really take seriously, like, oh, I'm afraid to voice my concern because so forth and so forth is going to be talked about. We signed up to be in this council a year ago, and we knew that there were consequences that were coming with this, including that. Because trust me, I've been bad overridden by a variety of council members and a variety of different individuals as well throughout this campus, and I deal with that. That has come to the position. I think you know that very well, Naomi, as well.
If you don't mind me jumping in here, I'd just like to remind everyone of, proper language, use of, personal opinions and things of that nature. We don't want to demonize other people's opinions about that. So just be cautious on the language we're using. Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you, Jonathan, for your thoughts. I think as to why now to that this is our first meeting of spring. I think, just from what I could tell after finals week, I didn't think that was appropriate to call an emergency meeting. I don't think we would have gotten even quorum at that. People had finals. I don't know what else to say about that. And then this is our first meeting since that past surplus meeting. So that's just timing there, that there was no ill intent with timing. And then as for your second point, I think all I could say there is that, I don't know, I don't think I was ever prepared when I got this position that I would ever receive death threats. And that's just me personally speaking, from some of the things that I've gotten in my term. And so I definitely hear where you're coming from. I did know that USAC, some things arise and you might get something said about you. I definitely knew that, but like it's one thing to hear about it, but then it's another thing to have it actually happen to you. And then how you juggle that with, I also am like a full-time employee at this university outside of USAC. I'm a student and I'm also a sister. I have other responsibilities outside of here when we need this. So that's all I just had to say, but that's my personal perspective. I don't know who that council member was in the article, so I don't know what they're juggling, but I don't know what exactly maybe their experience was, so I can't speak to that, so I'm not speaking to it well. So, thank you. Other, yeah. Is that you? Yeah.
No, yeah, I don't think anyone deserves like anyone has gone through this year, especially Naomi, you as well as president. I don't think you deserved any of that. And I'm really sorry to hear that, like, it's mounted and mounted. I think, yeah, it's taken a toll on me as well, for sure, personally, I think so. I hear a lot of concerns. I also understand like having to balance everything, especially during finals week. I think for me, the thing that's most disheartening about the timing of the veto now is just that, like, we spent a couple weeks, at least on my, as I touched on, I spent a couple weeks like trying to get, the account numbers of SGA and like doing a budget transfer and like a bunch of different emails from like various folks that were like leading the different programs are visible. So I think it's disheartening to me that they've been doing work since our vote, and now for it all to be shut down. And I know that there's BOD, but I mean, it's only open for like, I think 2.5 more weeks, almost 3 weeks, or 2, something like that. And so I'm worried about the really short time frame there. And to be able to fund all the very wonderful programs, that would have been funded with the RJ and surplus proposal. And so, especially I think because the freshman weekend that they're trying to plan is like a couple of weeks away, I think. So I think the timing is very unfortunate. I think with all those emails going across, I know that, you know, as an individual, like the USAC president is not like your current SGA, who, like process the budget transfer. I know that you all are very different, like there's a lot of people involved in this process, I guess. Sorry, rambling, but like, there's a lot of people involved in the process, and I guess I wish that like there was like an inclination that this was gonna happen earlier, just so we could like stop the planning, not do the budget transfer, like not call SGA a bunch about the budget numbers. So I think it's just frustrating. But I do understand the concerns about like not meeting deadline this week and everything. That's kind of where my mind's at a bit, but, thank you for sharing.
Yeah, I appreciate those concerns. What I will say about, and this goes for all they're calling it DAWP, but the diverse admin weekend programs. Those do receive university support in funds. It may not be enough for what the organization is trying to do, but they are receiving support. I think, given that I know ASU applied for, I believe it was 2 different programs on this last cycle of BOD. I don't think we as the ASU would have issues applying for BOD 2 more times. Given that we will definitely start advertising this week, as stated, I really want this to be all that with council members, so that we can do our best outreach to organizations that do need funding for these larger scale events. And that's also why we upped it to 12.5K. And so I think that will also, in the grand schemes, help. Like, if we think about even events that we put on with 5K, I think we do pretty large events for what I've seen with various student organizations. 12.5K is a lot of money as well, to do. So I think I can leave it at that. And yeah. Any other things without them? Okay, moving forward, I had some concern with last month, so I'm not gonna lie. I think during the meeting, Jonathan, you cited that the structural barriers in applying for the funds and how most organizations didn't know how to apply for exempt funding, the barrier in getting their full allotment. I think the barrier in getting the full allotment is not enough money in the funds, which is why we tried to allocate with various proposals, sending more money to our funding bodies, but then it's also the actual part of coming to the groups applying for the funds. So I actually took a look at our USAC budget for the year, and I found out of the groups that can apply for funds, I did not include HSI because they could not apply for funds because they're not a student group. For other 6 of the organizations that could apply have received and just applied to USAC funding according to our budget report. And so they some of the organizations also had BSD hearings in the last spring cycle as well. And so in addition to that, we also saw that the Lawrence Admin Weekend was also incorporated as one of the groups that we thing. I didn't think it was entirely fair to keep that admin weekend in the midst when we had, for other proposals, especially coming from the EDP office, we had zeroed those out because of the concerns raised with funding using student fees or rollover student fees to fund admins that haven't technically committed to the school and thus haven't paid student fees yet, or may not be. And so with that, I would also like to detail last post.
Okay, perfect. Are you done?
So that's all I have, but I do need to call on you. Jonathan.
Sensational. So firstly, for Admit Weekend, that funding was directed toward the UCLA students that work on Admit Weekend. As someone who's been on Admit Weekend for 3 years, my entire undergraduate time, these students have no opportunity to actually celebrate themselves on the work, because trust me, Admit Weekend is an incredibly stressful event. especially Latinx Advent Weekend being the largest Advent Weekend for students of color on this campus. So that was where that funding was meant to go to. It was not meant to go to admins who haven't been admitted to the school. So firstly, because Latinx Advent Weekend is a registered organization on campus. Secondly, while again, yes, it's those main disparities of not obtaining enough funding. For example, Grupo Puerto Rico, I've worked extensively with Grupo Puerto Rico's financing. Every single quarter, we are consistently struggling to get enough funding. Royce is incredibly expensive to rent out. And, you know, we throw our event for students and community members outside of UCLA. This funding is essential, and we've already begun these communication with the student body. So I'd love, Naomi, for you to be the person to tell that these students are getting the funding that they need for the work and the efforts that they do to properly support Latinx students to grow the community and to properly cement themselves. I think, again, like previously mentioned, this could have been a conversation that happened before my office started working on these funding initiatives, because I cut down my original proposal from $300,000, which absolutely was exaggerated, to $75,000, which I think is a reasonable amount to fill in the gaps temporarily. Again, I definitely resonate with those feelings of funding BOD and ensuring that those fundings can be provided. But there are certain situations in which we must view everything with an equitable perspective, which means that those organizations and those groups who are most marginalized and most require the support need to be uplifted and provided with additional resources. In this case, being the Latinx community. I absolutely acknowledge that there were, I'm not saying personal relations, but rather I am very fortunate that I'm connected to Latinx leaders on campus and I was able to have this discourse and conversation, but this came out of me. This wasn't people coming to me. I went to Latinx boards. I asked them, what do you need of me? How can I properly represent our community more? Because it is shameful, it is disgraceful that my community has been on this campus since its very inception and we don't even have a center. So at least that we can obtain the $75,000 to properly and adequately support our community, even just for a bit, just to celebrate ourselves. So hence, I'd love for you to be the person to break the news to these students who have already illusioned themselves with the ability to have their events, to celebrate their cultures, to celebrate and build community on this campus that has already stripped so much from them.
Okay, starting with the Advent Weekend, I was going based on the slides, so I do apologize. It was going to what you said to actually pay the individuals working the Advent Weekend. From the slides, I just took from it said the $2,000 would go to transportation and housing accommodations, and then $1,000 would go to the banquet that they would provide for the members. So that's the information I went off. I do apologize if you're expressing something differently. If it is to pay the people working the events directly, one of the funds that Cultural Affairs Commission did pass is a fund that directly does support that, to provide stipends for people working these large events. So we can definitely, or I can definitely coordinate with them. I thank you for your work in reaching out to organizations, but I think it goes back to the actual framing of how we did this in the beginning. In week 7, when we actually go to this and that it's going to be commissioner initiatives. If we had said that we were going to open it up to organizations, we could have owned to organizations, I think, that we not only have personal relationships with, but also just organizations that we know of that can support. But when we said in the beginning, commissioner initiatives, that didn't fall quite in line with what you did, if I'm just being frank. So if you want me to tell them, I can. Jonathan.
Firstly, I want to clarify, so it's not meant to pay people, it's literally for them to have a nice little dinner. Because, yeah. Secondly, I think what's most reliable about this is I want everyone to know this is the first time I'm hearing about this. Naomi did not have the courtesy to tell me during my spring break, did not have the courtesy to tell me during finals. I have no courtesy whatsoever informing me that she had an intent on bidding, which I think is absolutely disgusting and disgraceful. And I'm incredibly offended by this. Because this is conversation with yourself and I could have had. And we could have further figured out the route and figured out the cause and so forth before my staff started working on this. before my staff took time from their break and their finals to dedicate themselves to this project. Additionally, I verified and discussed this proposal on multiple occasions with student advisors, with our advisors here. I discussed this with council members. I, from the very beginning, was adamant on, I'm going to provide support for Latinx students. It's not a matter of if the guidelines or not. I discussed this and I submitted the proposal. It went through. I submitted it on time. I followed the regulations and the guidelines that we had set and had established for ourselves. So I find it very unprecedented. I think I find it incredibly disrespectful to my community. I find it incredibly disrespectful to my staff and my office, and I find it incredibly disrespectful. And Naomi in particular, someone who has worked extensively with you since our sophomore year, I find it really, really in bad taste that you did not have the courtesy to inform me about this earlier.
Again, on timing, I do apologize that your staff going time for their battles and spare break to work on certain things. Timing was definitely, I didn't mean for it to come off as ill-intentioned. This was just our first meeting back. Quite literally our second day back on campus. Frankly, spring break, I was working on campus in various different committee meetings, as folks can see on my office report. I didn't really even have time for myself during spring break to even reach out to folks. I was also in the process of reviewing a 10-hour long meeting. I didn't have the extra time to spare while also handling other things that are in other organizations that I am part of in my work and job on campus. So I do apologize for not reaching out to you sooner. This was just our first meeting back. In addition to that, I do appreciate, like you said, you met with folks. I would say I was a bit confused in the beginning of what the actual proposal was. At first, a lot of us thought it was a fund, but then it kind of wasn't a fund. And when we saw kind of the breakdown and more information about it, I asked very similar questions on that night of the people and saying kind of my problems with it. And so here we are.
I think I heard about this from a council, actually. I was told a couple minutes before this meeting about it, that someone was previously told, a council member had discussed this to me before, because you didn't have the time to tell me. But you had the time to tell someone else. But ultimately, again, I think it's in bad taste. I think again, I followed the steps and I did clarify this question. I had those answers given to you all. I opened up the forum for any considerations, thoughts, concerns, and so forth. And I think again, while I recognize it was a 10-hour meeting that absolutely was disgusting, and I never want anyone to have to go through that ever again in their life. I think it would have been better to clear that then than you using your executive power as a means of imposing a certain perspective that you have on the student body. And I think ultimately, I think we've heard your thoughts. So yeah, thank you.
Sorry, I meant to clarify that I didn't have to come over spring break. No. So it doesn't make it any better in saying that, yes, I did talk to other council members beforehand. But I do apologize that I didn't reach out to you directly. Okay. With that, we are gonna go ahead and move forward.
Can I just say something real quick?
Yeah, Susan.
I guess I just wanted to say briefly that I do ultimately understand both of these decisions in the context of presidential responsibilities. I think there are several things that still distinguish this veto from the ASU veto, and I feel like we should all really acknowledge and understand why Jonathan is so disappointed here. I think particularly the fact that he followed procedure very closely and that these details could have been caught earlier because they were publicly available. That should have been done earlier and is not his fault at all. I also think that he should have absolutely been notified beforehand. This is very disappointing, disheartening news to take. And a discussion beforehand would have made this much easier and would have been a sign of respect for the work that he put into organizing the funds. And I hope that after this decision, we don't let it slide and that we do what we can in other ways to still support the goals of RJN and Last Prof, which are essential goals. And if we are, recalling what we ran on, many of us ran on the premise of supporting marginalized students, these students who have been historically underserved. I think if they if they have or have not historically received USAC funding in the past, it would not make them necessarily more or less, that doesn't really affect their underserved status. I don't think that has relevance. So I do hope we can come together as offices to support the goals of Last Prof and RJN in other ways that we can.
Yeah, I definitely wasn't saying that being an underserved marginalized group, just applying means that they're not underserved and marginalized anymore. I was just citing that the main, at least one of the telling points that I remember from the meeting, and it was that say the groups didn't know how to apply. I think that was what I was citing there. In addition to that, for how the surplus would go now. Do you want me to go into that, Jonathan, or do you want to say something first?
Well, I mean, you should go first.
Jonathan,
I want to vote to override the veto.
all in favor, please raise your hand. Oh, sorry. Jonathan motions, Eva seconds, all, please raise your hand. Clear your hands. All against, please raise your hands. All right, please lower your hands. All abstaining, please raise your hands. All right, we'll go 46 to stop pass. Okay, so for how the surplus will work now, I do want to gather some of this. What I was going to propose is that offices that were allocated $0 would basically be able to submit surplus proposals. So that would be from people in this room that I can just name off the top of my head: Gabby, Jonathan, Ching, I don't think we submitted anyone. Katie, Adam, and Megan, TSR. So, that would be the ones I would say at least have first grabs at proposals. We discuss them as council, and then any other remaining funds can then be redistributed into the proposals that we have already approved as well. In addition to that, I did just remember, I'm so sorry. We also have the veto sesame. Jen has informed me that their team unfortunately does not have enough support to put on the events, and that's coming for their team directly. So we also have the veto this week as well. And so, I'm not sure exactly the amount that would be now in surplus, but we can get that number, and then we just reopen that same form that we use. Those commissioners can now basically make a proposal that falls in line with the same exact guidelines that we said in the beginning, and go from there. Chief?
Yeah, I wanna propose and advocate for having more money be allocated to BOD. Just because for the surplus cycle, we only have 40K. And the reason for that is that for our spring cycle, typically we only have 61K for each cycle, but we received a requested amount of 631K, which is insane. So like the budget review director did like 100 hearings over spring break. It's an insane number. And that's why we decided to take some of the surplus to allocate for the spring cycle, since all the hearings were done and all these cuts had already put together an application, done all the hearings, and a lot of them were very well deserved programs, for the spring events, all the conferences and all that. So that's why the amount today was like 140K. And then there's 40K left for the surplus cycle. So since ASU and La Province was vetoed, if we want to be able to support those through BOD, we need more money in the BOD fund.
Okay. Katie and over the jump. You have yours.
Yeah, I just echo that sentiment just because, sitting through BOE hearings all year and especially this quarter, there were just, so many events that either weren't fully allocated for, and could, and those organizations will apply again for more allocation because, there's so many events going on in spring quarter and there's so many people who need help and need support, so many different communities. And if we could allocate more money, we'd be able to help with that. So I just make that sentiment and, agree that any more money we could put in the VOD would be, really impactful for many students and different student groups.
John,
I'd like to propose entirely funding the Latinx Bienvenida for 2024, which would be $42,000. Like you mentioned, Naomi yourself, the Latinx Bienvenida is not a student organization, so therefore it does not have access to funding. I think it is essential to at least fund this event. So I'm proposing funding, actually, no, I'm proposing that number, give me a quick second. Can I pass to Sarah and then come back so I can give that exact number?
Go ahead, Sarah.
Just want to second or third Katie and Katie statements. A lot of the funding that we gave was also, some of it was for cultural shows and some of it was it was a 5K cap. But I think the most that we gave to an org was $4,000. So I think increasing, like, it would be very helpful to increase BOD funding to help fund like cultural shows and like my office has also started meeting with student groups to help them apply for funding, and we'd also be very, very happy to help with that. But I think, I mean, in surplus, we talked about splitting the allocation 60-40. I think it may be beneficial to give BOD a little bit more and then also perhaps more from the additional surplus we just got.
Pretty sure we changed it to 70-30.
Oh, we did 70-30.
So, so, no, you're right though. I think the money is more used in BOD, if anything. Would both be opposed to just doing 100% to BOD, or do we?
I feel like contingency is bad.
Okay, cool, okay. Here you go. Okay, I know Jonathan was going to look one event. I definitely think that one's valuable, especially because HSI, like we said before, can apply to our funding bodies because it is a student org, but the fact that, as Jonathan said in that meeting last time, the fact that they're in debt, achieving support is ridiculous, especially given that trying to become an HSI. And if they don't have the support, they don't have the funds, how are they supposed to work towards that goal? And so I definitely think that would be amazing. And so once we get the form, I would definitely hope you submit that. Jonathan?
I have 3 proposals I will be doing. So firstly, to fund HSI, so both their Latinx town hall is ordered for $5,500 for TOPIs and rupees, and $42,000 for the Latinx Bienvenida 2024. The total for that will be $47,500. The second one will be, both of these are collaborative events through my office directly, that my office will be directing and will be working through. First, the Unión Centroamericana de Estudiantes Counter Spaces event. So this is an event bringing the Central American community together to highlight the resilience of our community in particular. As myself being a Central American, it is imperative that I am able to collaborate with this organization to allow them to further diffuse our culture. And my third one would be Atlantic Venues Magazine's spring print and spring print launch party, which is a total of $1,059. I think given that these were minimal amounts, but significant events to these communities, I am proposing both those events. That will be collaboratively discussed through my office and my staff will be actively working.
I think that sounds amazing. So. Proposal due dates. What do y'all think? Next Tuesday? Friday? I'm looking at the people that could apply, so. Like. You mean able to get it done by Friday? Or would you like to do it?
Preferably Tuesday.
Tuesday? Is that okay? Session?
We doing, or will we be listening to presentations and voting? Yeah. In the sake of, in the interest of.
I think I could just so they don't know whatever we should, sorry. I think in the interest of time, it would be best to, I know it's not 5-day notice and everything, I think in best interest, just of how much time we have left in our terms to try and get this done, as quickly as possible, while also trying to accommodate for time. Have it done Tuesday, hope to add it to the agenda, your presentations, and try and get it voted on next week. If possible. I think that would probably be best. And we go from there. And then just.
Not directly, but slightly related, so does extending this like proposal deadline for those who are going to like either reapply or apply for funding, does that impact the decision you've already made at that 10-hour meeting? No, okay, and I've heard from, I think, Eva that she's been accessing, or like in contact with SGA about account numbers. I was under the impression that maybe today I would get more information on how to like access the money that, some of the transferred. Like,
All the numbers are.
yeah, well, I have the numbers, but I thought maybe instructions on like next steps or like what to do.
Okay.
So I was just wondering if we're going over that tonight or if I need to take steps outside of our meeting today.
Hello, so when it comes to, what are the next steps? I think the funding, the accounts are open. And if you need a position from help, then you can reach out to me, send me a Slack, set up a meeting with me. I think that would be the quickest for with any of us. That would be the quickest way, or one of your finance directors is in charge of the requisition forms. I think that would be the quickest way to get the funding to some of these, usually departments, just to get that out of the way. Because filling out the requisition forms can be, very big. Various regions, without going into much more detail, you got funding. Your next step should just be reaching out to SGS, SBA.
Justin?
Yeah, just to add on to that as well. So specifically, if the funds are going to a UCLA department, it's also best practice to send a funding award letter with those funds, articulating the specific use and purpose of the funds, just to ensure that they're being spent according to how you all voted on them. And then, you know, generally, there's some ask of like reporting back on that text of the fund. And that's just to give some additional feedback to USAC, because essentially what we're doing is sending the check to them, and then they're overseeing the use of those funds. And if there are funds left over, you know, it's staying within their departmental funds, doesn't come back to USAC at that point. So it's best practice to do that. So if you are one of those offices that has funds going to a university department, we can get you a sample letter and help draft that, and then they would be sent out over Naomi, your signature, as president.
Okay. Dennis?
What was that last part about Naomi's involvement? So that's.
Yeah, she just signed off on the letter, just stating, like use of funds and then reporting due back by XYZ date to council. Just so there's that formality, it will put it on like USAC letterhead and all of that, just to make sure that it's, formalized in a way that lets that department know. There should be some reporting back to USAC on the use of funds. Obviously, if your office is connected, you'll probably know updates, but it's just an additional, method of accountability for USAC, making sure your funds are spent appropriately.
Okay, so just to clarify, we'll write the letter, maybe we give it to you, Jessica, so it can get formatted correctly, and then I'll pass it to Naomi to be signed, and then I'll send it to the department.
Yeah, probably, because especially with all the, centers that I've heard how to look at student the approval, basically a lot of the same language is what we use for our other funds, for instance, the funds we send to the academic advancement program. We'll see, given USAC reports, but definitely, hey, if you come to a USAC meeting or give me your report and I can speak on it, but on the center's behalf, some of the activities and events that they're being going on with that funds, I think that's just kind of perfect. And then just last thing, then we'll go back to our.
Last thing, is there a deadline that the departments that we're allocating money to, like, they need to spend the money by?
So that's kind of dependent on, your proposal or the stipulations of the funding. So if there is a deadline for like an event or a program, it would be that, but really, once the funds are sent over, the university's on a different fiscal calendar than ASUCLA, so they actually close a month earlier than we do. So, that would be the only restriction in terms of like how they're able to access those funds, like they have to close in June, so just to keep that in mind. But if there are funds remaining, the department would oversee those going into the next year, and they would just utilize it on, read the program if it continues into the next year. If you're confident that that's gonna happen, you might want to like include in the letter something along the lines of like, if these funds are remaining at the end of this year, then they'll be used for the same purpose next year, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I have two comments. One that we're talking about, just, that's important to let the departments know how to use the money. Sometimes they have a little bit more flexibility in utilizing it. In Sol's experience, those monies never come back to the department. The department doesn't need them because it was never allotted to them, that particular line item. So whatever money we're giving to departments, and then a word letter, please stipulate the details behind it. It just makes it so much easier, and it should be a question for the department how they can use it. The second comment I was going to make is, those of you who will be submitting proposals, I've offered my assistance. I did review all the proposals last time and rank them. I don't know if anyone got a chance to actually see the spreadsheet, but I did. Or if you can't get a hold of me, please reach out to your SOL advisors. I'm sure they'll be more than willing to assist you. I will mention this in our SOL staff meeting tomorrow, just to give everyone a heads up that you all may be reaching out to them. That's it.
Okay. I would like to give Hannah the opportunity to swear in our TSR. Before we close out.
Hi there, is my new commissioner ready?
Yes, I am.
Okay, perfect. So I'll just have you raise your right hand and you'll repeat after me. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So raise your right hand and please state I and then your name.
I, Megan Harmon,
Do hereby solemnly swear
do hereby solemnly swear
that I will,
that I will,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
support the Constitution and bylaws of the Undergraduate Students Association of UCLA,
support the Constitution and bylaws of the Undergraduate Students Association of UCLA,
and that I will, to the best of my ability,
and that I will, to the best of my ability,
promote, maintain, and extend the worth,
promote, maintain, and extend the worth,
value, and name of the University of California.
value, and name of the University of California.
Perfect. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hannah, for coming tonight. So next steps, we'll get the form, we'll reopen the phone for the proposals, officers that were allocated $0 apply. Get that in by Tuesday. I think 7 p.m. our meeting time should be great. And then we will go ahead here the proposal presentation. Funds detail, how the money can be used, timeline for the money, which you're planning the actual events, and the money going towards the permit, or fix it collaboration just with your exact office, and then we'll vote, and then get that to you, and move forward. If you have questions about your allocations as of right now, remember you can go to the SGA for help with threats, you can also go to Fernando, and then, yeah, that'll be it. All right, let's meet at 9:11 again.